Good morning, Facebook friends. It's Sunday, the beginning of another week. Today's message is What's a Mother to Do? So let me introduce you to the players on this life stage Lisa Miller and her daughter Isabella, mom and daughter. What does Lisa and Isabella have in common with Moses? This is a replica of when Moses was a baby. Okay, the one, Moses of Ten Commandments, and the wise men at the birth of Jesus, or the baby Jesus, as people called him. Still calling him that. Crazy, isn't it? The King of Kings and Lord of Lords, who's coming on a white horse to judge the nations, is still called baby Jesus. Anyway, that's not today's topic. Let's talk about what's a mother to do. What is a mother to do when the government is killing the children? Now that's what we have going on in Virginia in our public schools. They're killing your children. They're killing their minds, their soul, and their spirit. Not only in the minds of what they're teaching them, but the latest mask mandate by this tyrannical government. We have reached a time, whether you realize it or not, we're not flying out of here. We are facing a takeover right here in the state of Virginia. Now, people have to have a vaccination or lose their job. This is Virginia. This is not the USSR or Soviet Union or whatever you want to call it, or any of those countries. But let's go back to Lisa Miller. These are Virginians. Lisa became a born-again Christian after living a life as a lesbian. She had gotten a civil union. She got it dissolved because she knew as a born-again Christian she should have nothing to do with that old life. It's passed away. So long story short, she went through a 5-year court battle trying to keep her daughter in her custody and to raise her in the ways of the Lord. And it got down to the fact where a judge told her she had to give up her biological daughter to her former lesbian partner and let her raise her. So Lisa had done all of the legal steps of, we had done rallies, we had appealed to legislators. Nothing was working. She was losing. And a day came when I said to Lisa, despite the fact that we had 3 laws in Virginia, I said, Lisa, you better have a plan B. And unbeknown to me, Lisa's steps were orchestrated by the living God, and she was able to take her daughter, Isabella, and leave America. I had nothing to do with it, didn't know it had occurred for quite a while. But she was not going to not obey God, because He tells you, train up your child in the way they should go. For a long time, parents have trusted the schools. You drop them off at school, you go to work, you come home, you pick them up, or they're already home, and you go through that 5 days a week. And unbeknown to you, there's been a plan, a deliberate plan, to take this nation by taking the children. Lisa is back in America now because Isabella is 19 years old. The LGBT can't make a poster child out of this little girl anymore because she's an adult. But Lisa sits in a New York jail, awaiting trial for internationally kidnapping her own daughter. So stay tuned. You'll hear a lot about this case in the months to come. All right, that's Lisa. Well, what about Moses? Well, in Moses' era, the ruler had mandated, that all the firstborn boys be killed. Oh yeah, and they were going through the country at that time, killing all the firstborn boys. And Moses' mother decided, you know what, I've got to give my child a chance. So she devised a plan, and I'm sure it was led by God, and Moses was placed in a basket in a Nile River where the Pharaoh's daughter would often be. And he was found and raised in the palace as an Egyptian. But later in life, you know, God had a call upon his life. So what does Lisa have to do with the three wise men and Jesus when he was a child? We don't know that there's really three wise men. That's just a part that's been added to the Bible because there were three gifts. But the three wise men, or let's just say wise men, they had heard, they had seen the star, and they sought the truth of the scriptures about this king that would be born. And when they went to their own king to find out, well, where is the location, that made that ruler irate. So he says, go find this king, and come tell me where he is so I can worship him too. Well, that's obviously not what that king wanted to do. He wanted to have him killed. And so after the wise men delivered their gifts, however long they were there, they let Mary and Joseph know, and the wise men never returned back from the way they came. Of course, Mary and Joseph had to take Jesus and flee. So we have a commonality here of three households. Two of them way past, but one present. And that brings us to what's going on in the schools. Some of you have not decided to take your children out. It's beyond deciding. It is mandated from the living God to pull your children out of there and save them. Well, we're having a Zoom meeting Monday night, 7 o'clock, August 16th, to discuss options, whether it be homeschooling, private schooling, creating our own school, but doing nothing is not an option any longer. So if you want or know someone who should participate in this meeting, get in touch with me. Now, down the road, eventually, they're going to cut me off of social media. That's obvious. You know, you've heard the stories. There are others already been in Facebook prison. And actually, every Christian will have to leave it eventually. I advise you to go back to some of the old ways of knowing the physical address of where the people are that are closest to you. You know, here we are in Virginia with a government that, one, has been killing unborn babies for almost 50 years. Well, that in itself is enough for God Almighty to judge us. We have departed from him, and we need to return to the Lord. And if you're not keen on that yet, I hope you do come to realize that we need the Lord. And we are probably getting ready to go into captivity in the state of Virginia. We have now mandated masks in all schools, which they don't have authority to do this, but they're getting away with it. We have these mandated vaccines if you work for Virginia's government. So people are now faced with not just removing their children from school, or they're going to walk away from their jobs. What, folks? It's called civil disobedience. If you have never read Dr. Francis Schaeffer's book, A Christian Manifesto, see if you can get it. He was a man ahead of his time. This book, I believe, was printed like 1981. And Francis writes in this book as if he were here today. He could see where we were headed, right here in America, right here in Virginia. But in this book, you will see that a Christian comes to the point, just like Lisa Miller did, where she had to commit civil disobedience. We're there, folks. As a matter of fact, If they shut me down before my next video and you want to get in touch with me and find me, come to Appomattox, Virginia. Go to Main Street, go to the print shop or Jefferson Galleries, and they'll be able to tell you where to find me. Guys, the hour is here. We need to pray. We need to ask God for guidance and wisdom and protection and to give us the plan of what we do next. Take care. Stay tuned.